آیا خود شما آیت الله مطلع هستید که طرفداراتون مسلح شدند؟
به ما گفتند که ما میخوایم مهیا بشیم، من هم اجازه مهیا شدن را دادم.
They have told me that they are getting prepared and I have given the permission to prepare themselves.
Which means getting arms.
که به معنای اینه که اسلحه جمع‌آوری بکنن.
بله.
Yes.
Where do you get the arms from?
از کجا شما این اسلحه ها رو به دست میارید؟
نمیدونم.
I don't know.
I understand that some of them come from the Palestinian organization, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Is that true?
من اینجور بهم تفاهم شده که بعضی از این اسلحه ها از جبهه آزادی بخش فلسطین میاد. آیا این درسته؟
اطلاعی ندارم.
I don't have any information on that.
Would it surprise you?
آیا باز تعجب شما نخواهد شد؟
که
این اسلحه از طرف فلسطینی ها آمده باشه؟
نمیدانم.
No, I don't have any information. شاه در این ماه‌های اخیر کوشش زیادی به کار برده تا به طرق مختلف به یک مصالحه‌ای با شما و مخالفین خودش برسه. آیا به نظر حسالی زمان این مصالحه فرا نرسیده است تا بتوانید جلوی کشتار تعداد زیادی از طرفداران خودتون رو بگیرید؟
اگر او راست میگه که میخواد مصالحه کند، به خواست ملت عمل کند و او این است که او برود مشغول کاری دیگه بشد. لکن او درست نمیگه، نمیخواد مصالحه کند، او میخواد اخفال کند مردم را و بعد از اون بدتر از اول رفتار کند.
آقای مکنیل مدت هاست که کار پر استرس خبر را کنار گذاشته و در آرامش آپارتمانی کوچک در نیویورک به نگارش کتاب‌های رمان مشغول است. مصاحبه با آیت الله خمینی اما برای او تجربه‌ای به یاد ماندنی بوده.
بیشتر افراد مشهور یا شخصیت‌های سیاسی قبل از مصاحبه قدری خوشوبش می‌کنند تا نظر مساعد شما را جلب کنند. ولی آیت الله خمینی ابداً چنین کاری نکرد. طوری به من نگاه کرد که انگار پل کوچکی هستم که باید از روی آن عبور کند تا به مکانی که می‌خواست رویش بنشیند که پشتی بزرگی بود برسد. با بی‌اعتنایی کامل.
اگر دولت مورد نظر شما بیاد بر سر کار، چه تغییراتی در روابط دولت شما با امریکا به وجود خواهد آمد؟
ما نمیخوایم که ظلم به امریکا بکنیم و نمیخوایم زیر بار ظلم امریکا بریم. هر کارهایی که کردند و ظلم به ما بوده است اون را تحمل نخواهیم کرد. و اما روابط دوستانه با همه ملت‌ها داریم و دولت‌ها هم اگر با ما به طور احترام رفتار کنند احترام متقابل را داریم.
تنها چیزی که ما از نیات او می‌دانستیم همان چیزهایی بود که خمینی و دیگران در آن روزها می‌گفتند. مقاصد آنها را بعد از پیروزی انقلاب و به خصوص به دنبال واقعی گروگانگیری در سفارت آمریکا درک کردیم.
آیت الله خمینی آن روز درباره اسلام یا حکومت اسلامی به مخاطبان آمریکایی حرفی نزد. در عوض از سیاست‌های کارتر به مردم آمریکا تظلم خواهی کرد.
و ما از ملت امریکا می‌خواهیم که به این آقای کارتر بگند که ملتی که مظلوم است، ملتی که در تحت فشار است، ملتی که همه آزادی ها از او سلب شده است، ملتی که استقلال ندارد، ملتی که کشته میدهد، ملتی که بر او غلبه کردند ظالمین، اینها الان احقاق حق خودشون را میخوان بکنن، فریاد میزنند که ما آزادی میخواهیم.
The Ayatollah Khomeini.
If there is some turmoil in Tehran, there was none apparent this morning in the holy city of Qom, 100 miles to the south. There, guarded by a lone soldier on a rooftop, is the modest compound of the Ayatollah Khomeini. This morning, in his reception room, the ground rules for the interview were carefully spelled out. No question could be asked unless it was approved ahead of time. No questions about Iran's internal politics. No questions about a lack of freedom under the Ayatollah. But there seemed no pattern to those questions that were disallowed. About half of those we proposed were simply forbidden. The interpreter said he would refuse even to ask the Ayatollah any questions that he, the interpreter, deemed inappropriate. To begin with, of course, we wanted to learn about the hostages held in the American embassy compound.
Do you still say, Imam, that if the Shah, the ex-Shah, is not returned to Iran, that those American hostages in the American embassy compound will not be freed?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the most merciful and gracious. This issue has to do with the people. The 35 million population of Iran want this, and we must investigate why the population wants the Shah returned. And unless he is returned, the hostages will not be freed.
Reading a prepared statement, the Ayatollah's interpreter told Wallace the Shah has to return and tell us where his money is, and we have to know the extent of his treason against our people.
Reasons for the people's insistence for the Shah's return. One, that this is a nation with a poor economy, that the wealth of these people have been plundered by the Shah and his relatives, have been taken out of the country, are being deposited in various US and European banks, and these are the monies which indeed belong to the people, to these poor people.
Right.
And therefore, he has to come, he has to return and tell us where are these monies and why they are there. The second, which is even more important than the first reason, is that we want him back to show the extent of the crimes committed by this person during 37 years of his rule. We have to know the extent of his treasons in this country. This is why that he has to return and he has to be tried, and then the courts will decide.
But that is not an answer to whether the hostages will be freed.
I just gave an answer. The people will it, and we can't go against this will.
Then the hostages will remain there in the American embassy compound, what, for life? Forever?
They will remain until the Shah is returned. It is in the hands of Carter. Carter can free them by returning the Shah.
Imam, President Carter accuses your government of practicing terrorism and says that your regime will be held accountable if those U.S. hostages are harmed.
The 35 million people of Iran are terrorists? Ask Carter. You interpret politics like this? You call our people terrorists? I have heard what Carter says of them, and it doesn't make sense. He says they are not students, they are bums, mobs, they are terrorists. You know these as terrorists? This is an insult to students and people across the nation. You consider our people terrorists? You understand them of politics is that we are a nation of terrorists? We are Muslims. This is an insult.
Imam, President Sadat of Egypt, a devoutly religious man, a Muslim, says that what you are doing now is, quote, a disgrace to Islam. And he calls you, Imam, forgive me, his words, not mine, a lunatic. I know that you have heard that comment. That's what I heard President Sadat say on American television.
Yes.
That the Imam is a disgrace to Islam,
yes.
And he used the word a lunatic.
سادات ادعای اسلام می کند
Sadat
then read again from a prepared text.
I demand that Egyptian people try to overthrow him just as we did with the Shah.
He calls upon the Egyptian people to overthrow Sadat.
He does.
The way the Iranian people overthrew the Shah.
Exactly.
What we hear, Imam, that today, perhaps today, some black hostages and some female hostages will be released from the American embassy compound. Is that true?
ما آزادی زنها را و آزادی سیاه‌ها را
the freedom of the women and blacks will be given.
در اسلام یک احترام ویژه دارند.
Women are given great dignity in Islam, and the blacks have been oppressed in the United States. Great injustice was done unto them. They were under pressure in the United States. Thus they came here. We are doing this owing to the tenets of Islam. In return, we ask nothing for their freedom. We want the Shah. Carter must return him. The world's international law agree with this principle.
I ask you, as an American and a human being, talking to an Iranian and another human being, is there no room for compromise? Or is Iran now in effect at war with the United States?
I'm sorry, I can't ask that first question because that one was crossed out. Hazrat
Imam, is Iran in effect at war with the United States now?
Hazrat Imam, آیا جناب عالی یا به طور کلی ایران در حال حاضر با امریکا در حال جنگ هستیم؟
جنگ مقصود چی است؟ اگر مقصود این است که
What do you mean by war? If you mean our armies against the United States armies, no, there is no such war. If you mean it is a battle of nerves, it is Carter's doing. We are against war. We are Muslims. We desire peace for all. Carter does not allow this. Carter should put aside his so-called humanism and return the criminal Shah so that we can conclude this matter. The Shah is a criminal. We all know this. This spy nest you call the U.S. Embassy then can be returned to a place of humanism and diplomacy. Carter must return the Shah. We have nothing against the people of the United States.
But if the president says he refuses to return the Shah, and if the Imam says he will not free the hostages, then what can be the answer?
Well, I'm not sure if I can get the answer because this was not in the question.
Please ask him. I'm sure it's a very simple, straightforward question.
شما البته طبق معمول اجباری نیست جواب لطفاً کنید چون اینا تو اینا نیستش. ولی این سوالی که میکنن تو اینها نیستش.
He will not discuss
He's not even going to listen to it because it's not in the here.
All right. If the Imam was so convinced that the U.S. Embassy was a spy center, why did he not close it down and break off relations with the United States Why did he wait for this group of young Iranians to take it over?
We didn't think an embassy could be a center of spying. I didn't realize this until our students found the necessary evidence. I didn't realize Carter, going against all international law tenets, would allow this spying and conspiracy at the American embassy. Now that our students have done this, taken the embassy, with the backing of all the people of Iran, we have now realized that the American embassy has been a center for spying.
Imam, would you permit me to go to the American embassy compound and talk to the hostages who are there?
Okay. Yes, you could.
I can go.
It does not matter. Allow him to go and observe. Our young are there, and they will show him that the Americans are safe and healthy. There is no problem in going. They are under protection, and nothing will occur to them. Islam protects the prisoner, and Islam is humane. We are Muslims. Our students are Muslim students. They will protect the prisoners. I have asked my son to observe and ensure their safety. He reported to me that they are all well. I personally wish and hope for their safety. The prisoners at the United States Embassy must ask Carter to allow the Shah to return, so they may again gain their freedom.
Despite that apparent promise, Mike Wallace was not allowed into the embassy.